Today's speed round is brought to you by Verizon. Let's get right to it. Scale of 1 to 10 in today's Verizon 5G speed round. Chris, how likely is it, with obviously 10 being the most likely, that the Broncos trade down due to significant interest in the 9th overall pick?
I think that's, pretty high on the Richter scale there, where I'm going to go like an 8 with the Broncos. I think it's a prime spot to where if one of the quarterbacks do fall, that people could trade up to look for. And also at number 9, you're getting to that spot too, Mike, like we discussed earlier. It's like the premium elite players are starting to dwindle off the board. So if you want one of those top type of players, that's going to be the time where teams are going to be thinking about trading up for one of the receivers or maybe one of the better defensive players in the draft.
George Payton comes from Minnesota, where GM Rick Spielman loves to trade down and get more picks. And one of the key value items this year that we've been talking about, flipping a 2021 pick where you've had limited scouting ability for a 2022 pick where the scouting ability will be dramatically enhanced, we hope, because the pandemic, we hope, will be completely over by then. Scouting combine, pro day workouts, private workouts, player visits, the things that, other than the pro day workouts, we didn't have this year.
Yeah.
How likely is it, and I'll agree with you, I'll go 8 as well. I'll take your 8. I'm not going to be contrarian just to pick a different number. I agree with you. I think that there will be interest in 9, and they will be inclined to entertain trading down, and I think they will. Saints trade up for Virginia Tech cornerback Caleb Farley. How likely is it, scale of 1 to 10?
Trade up is where I just don't know if I can get behind that. So I'm going to go like a 4 there, because I just don't think as awesome as Caleb Farley is, man, I mean, it's risky to trade up assets to go get a guy that's had 2 back surgeries and, all of that type of stuff. That's where I guess I get a little scared of it. I think if he fell to them, I think they would take him. But trade up, I can't get behind that.
Yeah, I agree with you. If he falls, great. But there's too much risk involved to give up future assets or other assets in this draft when they don't have a ton of picks anyway to jump up and get a guy when there is that risk that maybe he's not going to be as good as he can be for health reasons in the NFL. I'll go even lower than 4. I'll say 2.5.
Yeah, it's probably more there. Yeah.
1 to 10. How likely is it that Washington trades up but not for a quarterback?
Okay. I don't see – I'll put this at like 6, because I do think there's a possibility where I'm going to sneeze. So excuse me. Sorry, I'm trying to hold it in.
Bless you.
Thank you. It's there's a lot of pollen in the air up here. I'm dealing with allergies. But I think I could see a scenario maybe where if there was a run on the offensive lineman in the first round to maybe where Washington felt like they might not get one, because that's their biggest glaring need other than maybe the quarterback like we've talked about, is probably getting an offensive lineman. I can maybe see that being like, oh, gosh, everybody's going off the board. There's only, we're 4 picks away or 5 picks away, and there's only 2 of the guys we like left or something like that. So I'm going to make it a 5, not a 6, a 5.
I'll agree with you there. I'll go ahead and make it a 4.5. So I'm not agreeing with you, even though I said I was. But, you could trade up a couple spots.
Yes.
I mean, we see that.
Right.
That's not out of the question. And, yeah, you don't get a quarterback. You're just trying to get the guy that you want because there's a run on the position where you have need, so you better go get the guy that you want to get. Giants or Chargers trade up for tackle Penei Sewell if he falls past the Bengals at 5. Scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that either of those teams make the move to go get Sewell, Giants or Chargers?
I'll give a 6 to that, but I think it's more like I'm going to say the Giants are low on that. I'm going to more like sway with the Chargers maybe doing that. Sewell is special. He really is. I think there's a lot of people that view him as like being really special, and then others that think, okay, he's one of the top 3 guys. But the Giants, I guess where I just look at that and go, they drafted a tackle in the top 6 last year. They have Nate Solder coming back. They drafted a Will Hernandez in the 2nd round a few years ago. So I guess I just don't envision them trading up. So the Chargers are the ones I'd maybe have my eye on in that situation.
I asked Penei Sewell earlier this week about playing for the Chargers because Justin Herbert really wants to reunite with him, and L.A. would be a lot closer to American Samoa than Detroit or Atlanta or Cincinnati. He said, that's fine, but not at 13. He knows how this works. You want to be drafted as high as you possibly can be drafted. And he said one of the reasons is he just wants the stress to be over. So the Chargers would have to trade up. He's not going to be there at 13. No. He's not going to be there at 11. He won't be there when the top 10 end. All right. I'll say if he gets past the Bengals, I'll call it a 6 that the Chargers do it and a 1.5 that the Giants do it. So I think we're on the same page there. Eagles trading up for Alabama receiver Jalen Waddle. Scale of 1 to 10, how likely?
I'm going to go 3 here. I just don't see the likelihood of that. If Jalen Waddle falls to them at 12, I definitely could see them making that type of pick. There's no doubt. But for a team that truly is like a rebuild right now, you're retooling the whole franchise. That, to me, trading up for the wide receiver in a draft, again, that's got a lot of good wide receivers, doesn't make a ton of sense for the Eagles situation.
Yeah, on our mock draft, we have Jalen Waddle actually landing with the Eagles at number 12. Back-to-back Alabama receivers, Devontae Smith, 11 to the Giants, Jalen Waddle, 12 to the Eagles. 1 to 10, how likely is it that South Carolina cornerback J.C. Horn, son of former NFL receiver Joe Horn, is drafted before Alabama corner Patrick Surtain II, son of former Dolphins cornerback Patrick Surtain I.
Yeah, some sons of legends here. I think I'm going to go with a real low number where it's like I'm going to say 1. I am. I mean, I think Patrick Surtain, for most people, is looked at as the number 1 corner in the draft. He's, of course, has played at Alabama, had that coaching, and, of course, was phenomenal this past year. So you have more evidence of him playing and doing that stuff than J.C. Horn, who, opted out after a game or two. So I'm going to say 1 there.
I'll say 2, just because I don't feel like agreeing with you, but it's very low, very low. Packers drafting receiver Rashad Bateman, opted out this year from the University of Minnesota. Scale of 1 to 10. Do the Packers make Aaron Rodgers happy this year after spending none draft picks? Would none be accurate? None draft picks on receivers last year.
Well, I'll think there's a chance for the wide receiver position. Okay, I want to say, all right, I'll give that like an 8, that there's a chance they go wide receiver. Rashad Bateman, do I want to pin that name to him? No, I think I would go a little lower than that. I like Rashad Bateman. To me, he is not a first-round talent. I'd be disappointed as an Aaron Rodgers fan going, wait, they took him and not Kadarius Toney or Terrace Marshall Jr. from LSU or the big play threat De'Ami Brown from North Carolina. I would think there's going to be some better players on the board than Bateman. So that's where Bateman's a weird one. There's a love-hate, I think, there with him, because if you watch his film from 2 years ago, it's way more impressive than what you see from last year. And that's the dividing line, or the thing that's kind of gets argued a lot with that player in this draft.
Yeah, look, I agree with you as well. The Packers need receivers, and I just wonder how much of what happens over the next 3 days will be a manifestation of the current dysfunction between team and quarterback.
Yeah,
and will they shy away from receiver just to twist it a little bit more, that very subtle but palpable tension between organization and franchise quarterback. That part of it will be fun to see how it plays out. Let's take a break. When we return, we're going to have a very broad and open-ended draft of the things we want to see happen tonight as the draft, the non-virtual draft, is back. We'll be back with more PFT Live right after this.
Pro Football Talk is brought to you by Verizon, built right for business.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.